Gordon Liddy formed a double act with Howard Hunt that President Nixon would come to regret. But when they set up office in the White House, they came with high recommendations and were sent on their way with even higher introductions.
I called General Cushman, who was deputy director of the CIA at the time, and asked him to extend courtesies to Hunt.
I was told by the White House, Mr. Ehrlichman, that a Mr. Howard Hunt had been hired on as a consultant to the White House, and that he'd be coming to see me, and it'd be appreciated if I could give him a hand. And he needed some papers and disguise to establish an alias.
In order to alter my appearance, I was provided with a pair of German-manufactured glasses. You'll see that they appear to have Coke bottle bottom lenses, and would give any viewer of someone wearing these the idea that I was just this side of total blindness.
Liddy flew to California with Howard Hunt to check out Ellsberg's psychiatrist's office. The CIA provided them with further disguises, made to measure wigs, a device to alter Liddy's walk, and another to distort Hunt's speech.
So there we were, walking about in Los Angeles, in the heat, sweating under these very well-fitting wigs, I stumbling along like a cripple, Howard Hunt babbling along like this, all courtesy of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Their report to the White House concluded that they could break into the office and the psychiatrist would never know it. Their boss, Bud Krogh, passed the recommendation up to John Ehrlichman, seeking approval for a covert operation to examine all the medical files still held by Ellsberg's analyst.
I recall seeing it come back. We had approve, disapprove. There was an E for Ehrlichman by approve, and underneath that he had written in his own handwriting, if done under your assurance that it will not be traceable. And that was our written authority to go out and conduct that covert operation.
Not traceable meant that others would have to do the actual break-in. Howard Hunt knew where to recruit them.
I come home one day from a day at the office and working, and I find a note up on my, in the glass, up on the door, and I picked it up and looked at it and said, if you are the same Barker I once knew, meet me and such a place, Eduardo.
It was the 10th anniversary of the Bay of Pigs invasion, the CIA's attempt to overthrow Fidel Castro. In Miami, a group of Cuban exiles were sought out by their former CIA commander, Howard Hunt, codename Eduardo.
When we went to meet Eduardo, it was not just the fun or the joy to see a friend. It was the hope that he could do something. And coming in that particular day, you have to think that has to be related to Cuba, whatever he come here to do.
It was in the hope of driving out Fidel Castro that the Cubans accepted the Ellsberg job. Hunt didn't disabuse them.
He said, we have this organization at the White House level, and the CIA and the FBI respond to this organization, which is a national security team. And this is when he said they call us the plumbers, because we are there to stop the leaks at the White House.
The operation Ehrlichman had authorized was ready to go. But did the president know what his White House plumbers were doing in Los Angeles?
Now we have a situation where the question is whether Ehrlichman informed me that these two men were going to California. He may well have. And if he had, I would have said, go right ahead.
What we were engaged upon was something that had the full and hearty support of the executive branch of the United States government. You can do no wrong.
Now the men who were to be key figures in Watergate undertook their first illegal operation for the president. They planned to get in through a door they had unlocked, but, to their surprise, somebody had locked it again.
I said, look, behind these bushes is a window. Now, the window did have steel bars on it. I said, you know, just wrench those off with this equipment we had. They were very powerful men anyway, and they did.
We were looking all and searching all over, and we could not find anything with the name of Ellsberg. And we took a photograph of some cabinets that we broke in, just as a proof that we were there and we were doing our job. That was all.
Back in Washington, Krogh saw the photographs and realized that the Ellsberg operation was more than he had bargained for.
They had gone in and basically trashed the office. That rather than it being a covert operation, something that would not be traceable, it looked to me as if this had been a major, major mistake.
It mainlined right back to the president. Usually, when something goes wrong out in a department or an agency, they assume responsibility and the White House stands away from it. When you have White House people involved, you can't do that.
The problem here is we didn't have close enough control. And as I would say, I hope that never in the future does the president have to have another so-called private police force of 4 doing so much work in a number of very important areas, and most of which was justified.
Despite the fiasco, no one got the sack. Indeed, Gordon Liddy, seen here with Nixon, was promoted to an even more sensitive post. The Ellsberg affair became one of the president's darkest secrets as he prepared for the election year. As the campaign began, the Democrats threw themselves into the primaries. Ed Muskie fought it out with his main rival, George McGovern, in the contest for the Democratic nomination. Nixon upstaged the primaries. He pulled off the greatest foreign policy coup of his presidency and wiped his Democratic rivals off the television screens. His visit to Beijing, the first by an American president, cracked the ice of the Cold War.
Nixon always talked about this being an historic first, this being the most of this, the best of that. And the election was just one more case where we wanted a coronation. We wanted the power that went with the biggest landslide in history.
Back home, Nixon took the gloves off. He told his chief of staff to do whatever was necessary to get the dirt on his opponents. They called it political intelligence. He put his best men onto it.
I have a copy of a memo which was one of dozens of such memos sent to me, and there's an item in here that says the Attorney General discussed with John Dean the need to develop a political intelligence capability. John Dean did, in fact, move himself pretty much into the whole area of political intelligence.
We have a responsibility to the citizens.
The president's ambitious young counsel, John Dean, now helped to arrange the most improbable appointment of the Nixon presidency.
John Dean said, the best way I could serve the president in 1972, the campaign year, would be to be the political intelligence chieftain. That what he wanted was a full political intelligence plan